In our last program, we created a variable called num that can store data of type int that contains a 5, and we printed it out. One thing to note here are these lines that are in gray. Notice they have 2 forward slashes in front of them, and these are comments, and they're ignored by the program. They're ignored by the compiler, which is the program that runs the program. So they are used for notes in our program. Right? So here we stored a integer type data. We stored a whole number 5 inside of a variable. But what if we wanted to store a decimal number? Right? Well, double stands for decimal. Right? So double is a different data type, and it stands for decimal numbers. So if I wanted to create a different variable that stores a decimal number, I would type in double. I can give it whatever name I want. I can call it decimal is equal to 3.14. Okay. And now I want to print it out, so I'm going to do a system.out.println right down here, and I'm going to print out the variable decimal. So I'll save that, hit the compile button. Ooh, I'm missing my semicolon. Hit the compile button. I'll come back over to BlueJ and right-click the class, click on void main, and hit OK. And now it also prints out the contents of the variable decimal. Okay. So we have 2 data types that we talked about so far. We have int and double. Right? We also have different data types here. We have char, stands for character. Right? And how can we create a char variable that stores a char? We say char, and we can say c is equal to, and we say single quotes and a letter. Okay. And what else do we have? We also have Boolean. And what is Boolean? Stands for true or false. Alright, so Boolean values are either true or false. And so I could say Boolean B is equal to false, like that. And you know you typed it in right if it is highlighted in blue. Right? Notice if I type it in capital F, it's black. Okay. You want to do lowercase false. And another last one we have is called string. And yeah, maybe we could save string for later. Let's see. This is it does ask you. Part D tells you to create a string variable, and strings are sets of characters. Right? So how do we do that? Well, strings are a little bit different. You say capital string S is equal to double quotes hello. Right. So these are different ways you can create variables that store different types. In this case, string, Boolean, char, double, and int, and we can print them out using system.println. And I think at the very end you need to also print it out with an identifier, is what they say here. Right? Print it out with the identifying text. And so how do we do that? Well, I don't have to just print out the number num. The value that's in the variable called num. Right? I could also print out text before it. And so how can I do that? I can do 2 double quotes, and I could say the value of num is, and then I'll do a plus sign here. So what does the plus sign do? Normally it does addition, but since we have a string here and a number here, it converts this number into a string, a set of characters, and it concatenates the 2 strings together. So it sticks this string together with this string, and then it gives it to println to print out to the screen. All right, let's go ahead and see how that looks. Let me scoot this over, compile, click on void main, I'll say OK, and you can see here that it compiled those, it concatenated the first string with the number value turned into a string stuck together. Okay, and we can do the same thing for decimal here. Right? We can go ahead and put identifying text in front of it and say value of decimal is, I could save that, come here and compile and void main, say OK, and here we go. Alright, so this is how you can get identifying text to be printed out in front of your variable values. And that should get you started on P1A.